talk to Bertha about that.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Good to see everyone. I just want to announce to all of you that only the delegates and alternates substituting for a delegate can sit in a designated area. Others, please sit with residents on that side there. Appreciate that. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and Bertha just notified me that we do have a quorum today. Alan Perlman, our secretary, is not in. I haven't heard from him. But Carolyn, the vice president, is going to take notes or minutes. And she's very capable of doing that. And I'm going to provide my report. See it. One last thing, please turn off your cell phone. One more time, please turn off your cell phones or pause them or whatever. Again, it's good to see everyone, and hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. And the insurance committees had a meeting and voted to recommend Plastridge Insurance Company out of 3 companies that were interviewed. Now, the recommendation was made at the executive board meeting to all our presidents. 10 of our associations stayed with Plastridge, and the other remaining associations, the guide decided to go in a different direction. For 2025, we will work hard to do a better job of keeping the presidents in the loop. Plastridge and the other carriers are willing to come in on quarterly basis and answer any questions of concerns of the presidents. They are also willing to conduct insurance seminars. So that could be helpful and educational for us, because a lot of people tell me they don't know anything about insurance, and this would be an opportunity to learn. For 2000, wrong line. Okay, sorry. It is frustrating that the final premiums for property and liability coverage does not come until late in the year. A temporary disconnect. It is frustrating that the final premiums for property and liability coverage does not come in until late in the year. And the reason for that is because the underwriters do not want to commit in case there's hurricanes or tornadoes or any kind of catastrophes late in the season. So even though we will be keeping the presidents in the loop, the final numbers will not come in until late in the season, when it's generally in November or December. Thank you. The executive board meeting met last Monday, and one of the things that was brought up at the last executive. Okay, sorry, we had a dicey microphone. Okay. So again, we had a board meeting, and I brought up how we cannot get back to answer questions from the delegates' meetings. So in other words, when you guys ask a question, if we don't have the answer, we may have to research the answer and then get back to you the following week. Well, there's going to be, that's one thing that I want to change, where we do reply to everyone. We might not have it the same day, but we may have to research it and get back to you the following month. So this way, people don't feel as if we're ignored and we're not answering their questions. So what I propose is that we make this an agenda item every month, okay, which will allow us the time to research the questions if needed. Thank you. I just wanted to say one thing before we get started with the regular agenda, and I don't know if all of you know, but my predecessor, Mike Lemon-Gilly, he fell, and the last I heard he's in rehab. I don't know if he still is, but I thought some of you that have known Mike a long time would like to know that. Where's my pen? I also want to remind you that there's an M&O election March 11th for open positions. Anyone wishing to run can be nominated from the floor at the February 11th delegates meeting. That's just for informational purposes, in case you're interested. Hold on. Okay, I was just informed that you could fill out the forms today. If you're interested, Carolyn has the form. Okay, we're going to defer the treasurer's report as Lynn is not here today. And hopefully next month we'll be back as usual. Stanley, do you have anything for the budget director? Mark, anything? Okay. How about your M&O report?
Good morning, everyone. No budget no budget report right now. The budget is due in March. I'm waiting for the president to get himself organized.
Go ahead.
Okay? I have the okay to go ahead? All right. On community affairs, for a number of years, the West Boca Council has been pushing to get on the turnpike, a turnpike opening or entrance and exit way on Palmetto Park Road. With all the traffic that's going to be coming up on Lyons Road with all the construction and all the traffic coming up from Broward County, the most logical thing is to have an entrance and exit way on Palmetto Park Road, and it's just a matter of having to push our representatives to see if we can get it done. This will solve a big problem, which eventually will get worse and worse as we go along. Any questions? All right, let me do the ML committee. The committee met with management November 20th. The representing management was Judy Milliken, the vice president and site administrator, Monica Wells, chief financial officer, Abby Koffler, and Dan Cruz, regional facilities manager. Here are some of the highlights of the meeting. The weir that's going to be replaced will be scheduled for April, which is part of the dry season. Hopefully it'll be completed in record time. About 25% of the CVW units have been inspected for water leaks. We're going to have another go-around to see if we can, solve some more of the problems. There was some complaints about the yellow stanchions. Dan Cruz will check with the water department to see if another color can be used, but the yellow stanchion is a good clue that be careful not to knock them down. The association water meters will be calibrated with the main meters for the next couple of months until all the meters for the individual apartments or units, not apartments, excuse me, I don't want anyone to get nervous, for the buildings to be set up. To date, we have about 119 decals sold for friends and relatives. The committee approved having decals for aides. These are licensed and private aides. This will be optional on the part of the aides if they wanted. The charge will be $15 for 3 months, and it has to be renewed every 3 months at another $15 charge. But this is strictly optional up to the aide who feel they want to get into the village on a much quicker scale. Credit cards will be approved only for vending machines from now on instead of cash. I think that we've had too many problems with the cash loss and not working properly. Pool tables will be renovated during this budget year.
Something wrong with the mic.
Charlie, what did you do with my mic? No smoking signs were placed by the walkways, so this way it'll solve the problem and reduce the complaints about people smoking under the walkways. A decision on how to handle the iguana problem was tabled until we'll be meeting this month. And any questions regarding the report?
Dan Sands.
Comcast, Dan?
What's that?
Anything Comcast?
Whoa, I have a question.
Oh,
At last month's meeting, after much discussion, the promise was made to have the list of projects available at the next meeting, which is now. You have it?
Can the person stand up and identify themselves?
I did.
We all missed that.
Dan Sands from Ainsley.
me just start. To be repetitious, the October Cobrua meeting, we spoke about the budget and itemized all the projects that we felt were needed for the new year. And as you can see, Mark is videotaping the meeting, which was on the in-house channels as well as the website. The November Cobrua Reporter had 3 reports talking about the budget and the projects. But since the question came up again, I'll be more than happy to repeat it for the 4th time. There's going to be milking and paving on the roadways as well as the walkways, creating a berm, replacing the fence, and planting new hedges along the Alliance Road section, replacing the North Weir on Lake Windermere, and all the water main projects have been modified. Those are basically, in addition to the normal expenses of security, payroll, and so forth. These are basically the projects that we're doing for the current year.
One of the things we discussed that was not on there, and still apparently not on there, you just read what's been in the Cobrua, are the pickleball courts. That's a budget item of a lot of money, more than recovering the pool tables, for example, yet it's not on your report. Last month, you said you would bring the entire list in writing here
I
today.
think we mentioned previously that we're moving the pickleball courts to the tennis courts by the clubhouse. That we reported. Yes. Why you didn't hear it, I don't understand.
No, I heard it last month verbally, but what you agreed to do was...
If I said it verbally, why do you need to repeat it?
You said you would bring it in writing, so I understand.
I didn't say I'm putting it in writing, I
Yes, you
said it
did.
verbally.
No, you didn't.
You know, Mr. Tanza, every time you get up, there's an argument. I don't want to argue with you. We made a report, we reported everything, but with you, nothing seems to be satisfied.
I resent the personal attack. I don't do it to you. I resent you doing it to me.
I'm not attacking you personally, I'm just saying
Yes,
what
you
you
used my
did.
name, and you called me out. Last month, you whispered it to Ted.
What did he say? Whisper? You're hearing things, I think.
I think his point is, oh, I'm sorry, Diana Still Cornwall. I think his point is, in the Cobrua, and when you spoke to us specifically just now, you didn't mention pickleball courts, and that's more expensive than like the pool table covers you were specific about. So the point is, I think the pickleball courts should be included in, in writing. I agree with you.
If I recall, the last report I made mentioned that we were moving the pickleball courts to where the tennis courts are by the clubhouse.
Yes, you told me verbally when I asked that question, but I think what Dan's thing is, you just gave us a list of what's in the budget, and the pickleball courts were not what you just said. That's all.
Okay,
It'll make you happy.
I have a form for you to complete
I think that pickleball.
about your complaint that you have, and then we'll take a look at it and get back to you.
Bertha, we have questions. Thank you.
Suzanne Sheeper, Newcastle. Yeah, it feels to me, I come to one with all these meetings, it feels feels to me that it's very piecemeal, the information that we get. A big issue to many of us is, big issue to many of us is the, whether to paint the bricks or not. So it's like we're getting the information that is the least questioned by the group. We're getting information on that, but I know a lot of people are concerned about the cost involved and the appropriateness of painting the bricks on the clubhouse. We don't have any idea what's behind the bricks, how that will be, how the buildings will be affected by that. And it's like, I have to ask about that. I've asked several times, and then the pickleball thing, we gotta ask. I can just imagine if I was new to Century Village that it would be useful in the Cobrua Reporter to say, to have a list, not written in paragraphs, but a list that says, these are the yearly projects, this is where we're at, this one has been decided on, this one is gonna move forward, this one we're not gonna do. I feel like every time I'm trying to like piecemeal what the projects are. But if you would answer specifically what's going on with painting the bricks and the crazy cost, seems unnecessary to me, and then what the structure is behind it.
Since there's so many questions raised about whether to paint the building or not paint the building, we've called in the decorator who originally put together the program for the clubhouse, and we're going to see what her recommendations are. And in the next meeting, we should have a report as to what her suggestions are and what we feel the committee wants to do.
Okay, I'm glad you're moving forward. It seems to me that a decorator's interest would be to decorate. So I'm not sure that that talks about the structure behind it, whether that talks about our budget and whether that's where we want, I can't even guess, tens of thousands of dollars to go. And as many of us know who have dealt with brick in our homes in the past, you paint it once, you're never going to unpaint it. So it's a very, very serious, especially when we have so many budget concerns and cost concerns.
Okay, Stan, do you want to go over Comcast? Anything for
Wait,
Comcast? Just hold- Oh, sorry.
Elaine Harris, hi. Stanley, I don't know if this would be useful, but I'm not sure if everybody's understanding what's in the budget for the year that we are currently in, or the one that comes, that's due in March for next year. So are we all on the same page here? Are they talking about two different budgets, 2 different years?
The clubhouse renovation was in last year's budget. So all the paving that you saw in the front and all the work being done in the front of the clubhouse and on the roadways was last year's budget. This year's budget doesn't include the renovation anymore. It's just a matter of completing what we set aside money for last year.
Could you also just real briefly tell people how the budget committee works so they understand like where they have input and where they don't?
We start our budget meetings in June of every year. We finalize it by September, October, and in the what we do is we make an announcement what the increase or decrease will be, resulting in the monthly payments. And in this month's report is a summary of all the budget expenses, itemizing the budget. So every year in the paper, there's a schedule of what the budget includes. Last year's budget had last year's, and if you have the current issue of the Cobrua Reporter, you'll see in one of the sections there's a schedule of the budget for this coming year. It's not a secret, it's published.
Stanley, anything on Comcast?
Nothing really at this point.
Okay. Okay. Now Regina isn't here to report on hot wire. Does anybody else have anything about hot wire? Hey, Ted, you want to do your report on bylaws, please?
Thank you. The committee has not met as reported in the Cobrua Reporter, if you read it, on the Bylaws Committee. And as I mentioned last month, we will plan on having a committee meeting this month. So committee members, please watch out for your emails and look at that setup.
Okay, Carol, you want to do your Cobra report?
Thank you. Good morning. Charlie mentioned earlier that the Cobrua election is in March and that today is the deadline to complete the intent to run. The Cobra group has 3 open positions. That election is in February, and today is also the last day in which you can complete an intent to run. I do have copies for both Cobrua and Cobra. If you're interested, please see me after the meeting. Thank you. As Cobrua can be nominated from the floor in March, Cobra can be nominated from the floor in February. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Okay, Jody, are you here to do the security report?
Good morning. My name is Jody of United Security, and I'm here to present the report for November. For months patrol, we had 5,271. Pre-authorized calls, 7,313. Contractors or commercial, 730. Elevator resident malfunction, we had 13. 4 auto accident, 3 welfare checks. We had 3 fires, 73 IDs were confiscated, 17 at the clubhouse and 56 at the gates. Any questions? For this month, yes. Yes. But that includes rescue as well. Any questions?
Thank you, Jody. Okay, any old business? Milt, can you come up and discuss the search committee?
Okay, my fault. Good morning. My name is Milton Fishberger, and I'm chairing the Management Search Committee. And I'd like to give everybody here an update of what is happening with that particular committee. But first, before I start that, I want to introduce, if they are all here, the members of the search committee. Susan Meltzer, Elaine Harris, Stanley Siegel, Dave Merzon, Sid Schwartz, and myself. Committee consists of 6 people. Right now, when we started this, we started it because the contract with First Service expires on October 31st of 2025. And we have put in an enormous amount of hours. We have interviewed 4 different management companies, one of which is the existing management company, which is First Service, which is the name that you all know. So we've whittled it down from the 4 to the 3. We've spent about 2.5 to maybe 3 hours on each one of those initial interviews. At this point, we are ready to, and let me just name the 3 remaining companies. They are First Service, in no particular order, First Service, Castle, and Campbell. They are all obviously large companies and certainly are capable of taking care of the business of the associations. Not my fault that this thing. What do you want from me? It doesn't work. I have a feeling it's the battery because I just saw a sign that says battery to 10%. Okay. I don't think it'll work. We are at the point we are asking now. We're at the point where we are asking all the presidents who are here, you've received an email from me, for the next stage. The next stage really consists of each one of the 16 association presidents meeting and interviewing the 3 remaining companies. That will be taking place in late January. So the idea is to come to a consensus where the associations, or hopefully all of the associations can agree on one particular management company. It's in our best interest to have one company managing all of the associations for the village. There's costs involved when you start breaking those things up. It's different than Hotwire or and what's the other thing we've done? Comcast, I'm sorry. And as I meant to say, it's different than the cable companies and insurance companies, because it's economy of scale here. And if all the associations are in fact being managed by one company, we all get a better price. We are waiting now. There were original proposals given to us when the committee met with the 4, but the 3 remaining ones, they have been asked to submit a second proposal because of the questions that were raised at the first interview process. So where we are right now is that in late January, specifically January 21, 23, and 24, we will be meeting with the presidents. And if you are a president and you are at this meeting, and if you cannot show up, because I know there are a couple right now who have indicated that they are not going to be able to show up for that interview process, please designate a responsible person from your association who could speak on your behalf. If there are any questions, I'll gladly ask of them. No questions? Thank you. It's up to the president.
We'll take that at the end. Okay, any new business, folks? Oh, I thought we just said,
Bertha, this gentleman here.
all right, old business.
Charles Honick, Exeter. The last meeting, I brought up the information that FPL told me that we were taken off the power grid used by the policemen and firemen, and I wasn't given an explanation. This was a day after Hurricane Milton, when Exeter lost power on 4 separate occasions, and I was told someone would get back to me at this meeting. Do we get any information on this?
That was me. I made the commitment to get back to you. I did raise it at the M&O committee, and they were going to be checking with the fire department as to if and what happened. They did say that our people said that it is strictly up to the fire department what they do and when they do it, but they would be checking for us. I have not gotten an answer yet. I have it on my list, and you have not been forgotten, and I will continue to pursue it with the M&O.
Well, again, the primary reason bringing this up is that I was told that we had to lose power because people 20 miles away lost their power. That seems unacceptable when we have people on defibrillators, people who need electricity.
Thank you.
Old business. Okay, good and welfare for delegates. I'm sorry? You have new business? Okay. Bertha? Yes, new business.
Let's see. Dan Tanzer from Ainsley. Dan Tanzer from Ainsley.
We can't hear you.
Dan Tanzer from Ainsley. I'm looking at the bylaws of Cobrua from 2004. And in Article 4, which is titled Meetings of the Delegates, Section 5, it addresses special meetings. It says special meetings may be called by the president or in his or her absence by the first vice president, or by written request of 25% of delegates submitted to the recording secretary. Charlie, I'd like to ask you to call for a special meeting to allow, for the purpose of allowing delegates to attend and sit quietly at all committee meetings. This is in an effort to do away with the kind of the atmosphere of secrecy and slowness in getting responses from the various committees. So I'm asking you to call the meeting. You can do it. We can have a meeting before a future meeting like this, a monthly meeting, for that purpose.
I will take that under advisement and discuss it with the board.
Have an answer. I put her on one of those sheets, so I'll have an answer the next day or the next week. Like you said.
I'd like to, can you hear me? I'd
No.
like to clarify what you're asking. I'd like to clarify, I'd like to.
You're okay, keep going.
I'd
Can't hear you.
like to clarify.
Can't hear.
Nobody heard you.
clarifying that we're asking to attend but not to participate. I just want to clarify. Thank you.
Mike Solomon, Cornwall. Do I understand that proposal that we just had to be all delegates attend the meeting? I'm not sure you speak for all delegates, do you? We have a committee designed to take care of the issues. I don't see adding a lot of other extra people. If someone wants to attend on their own recognizance, then that's fine. But I don't think the committee needs the entire delegate body to make informed decisions.
Can't hear.
Just to clarify your point, I'm not asking that it's mandatory for the entire delegate group to attend, but it's up to members of the delegates to decide whether they want to attend or not. And as Sid asked, was I asking for permission to participate by any delegate? And I am not, just to witness the meetings.
Elaine Harris, to attempt to clarify what's being said. The impression I got was that the Ainsley gentleman wants a special meeting, and he's asked Charlie to arrange for that. And if I understand the bylaws correctly, you can happily do that, but if you want something to happen, you can also go the other route and attempt to get your 25%. So it's nice that you asked. Maybe you'll get an answer at the next meeting, but you have another avenue. Thank you.
Women welfare residents?
I'm screaming. Bertha, question back here.
Good welfare residents.
Delegates right now, delegates and residents. This is good and welfare, correct?
Good and welfare delegates?
Helen Baker, Suffolk. In this day and age, we should have mics at work.
I agree.
We wasted so much time, I can't hear it, please repeat it. And whoever is responsible to provide us with microphones, please make sure they work.
Thank you.
All the time, and they're wrong. Tell Sherry about them.
Anyone else? Good and welfare? Good and welfare residents?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Delegates, my name is Fred Hadley. I'm from Cornwall Association. I'm going to make a bold statement, so fasten your seatbelts. This Cobrua is an outlaw organization. They are shielding the proposals and bids for the most important management contract that we have in this village from for several months. I have requested copies of the bids and proposals. As unit owners, we're entitled to see those, but they play this game. And the game is, we're not an association, we're an umbrella association. Well,
several lawyers that are prominent in this field that says that any committee that acts on behalf of the association or the unit owners is subject to the same rules of disclosure and transparency. We haven't even heard the fourth name mentioned. I'll tell you who it is, because Mill Fishburger won't. It's Vesta. He hasn't told us why they were rejected. That's not transparency, Milton. And I want you to put those bids on the portal this afternoon. If you don't, you're proving the point that you're a secret organization that is not interested in the best interest of the unit owners of Century Village. It's high time that Cobrua started to hew to the statute of Florida, which states that all bids, proposals, contracts, etc. are available and need to be posted on these portals.
That's 2 minutes, Fred.
Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it.
Okay, we have a response.
Unfortunately, Mr. Hadley mentioned my name, so I'm going to respond to his comments. I'm going to read to you all a letter from August the 21st, 2012. The letter was written to Mr. Hadley about this particular subject, Cobrua. Dear Mr. Hadley, and I'll tell you who it's coming from because I'm going to read the whole letter. As per my July 5th, 2012 correspondence, you were made aware that my investigation of your allegations that you were denied access to bids, drafts, and/or proposals relating to the renewal of the bulk cable, television, and master management contracts obtained respectively by Cobrua's Cable, Television, and Management Search Committee, as well as being denied the opportunity to attend the meetings of these committees, would be predicated upon a determination by the division as to whether Cobrua was a master association subject to the provisions of the Condominium Act, which is Chapter 718 of the Florida statutes. This letter will inform you that the division has determined that Cobrua, as well as the committees organized and under its auspices, are not subject to the provisions of the Condominium Act, and therefore do not have to provide you with access to their records and or to allow you to attend their meetings. As per our telephone conversation on Thursday morning, June the 28th, 2012, I informed you that the division had previously determined that 2 other Century Village umbrella associations, the one in Deerfield and West Palm Beach, were not subject to the provisions of the Condominium Act. The case citations which were relied upon were provided in my July 5th, 2012 letter. The determination that Cobrua is not a master association subject to the Condominium Act was in part based on the same rationale relied upon in declaring those 2 umbrella associations not subject to the provisions of the Condominium Act. Therefore, Cobrua acts as an advisory organization and is not the entity responsible for the management of or operation of any of its member associations or the management or operation of the Century Village Boca Raton shared community facilities or services. Further, it is determined that Cobrua does not meet the definition of an association as set forth in section 718.103 close 2. Florida statutes, and that as indicated above, it does not operate any individual associations or the shared facilities or services, and as per its amended and restated bylaws, membership in Cobrua is not mandatory. Lastly, in my July 5th, 2012 letter, I indicated that I felt that your request to access records was deficient in that other than being addressed to your individual association rather than Cobrua, you requested that copies of the recorded records be sent to you. Associations are not required to send copies of records to unit owners. For your future reference, as you are entitled to access the records of Cornwall, your individual association, I am enclosing a copy of the division recommended form to be used for and instructions to follow when requesting access to records. Additionally, I am providing a copy of this letter to Cobrua as per the request of Mr. Stanley Siegel, the Capital Committee Chairperson, with whom I spoke to during the course of this matter. Based upon the determination that Cobrua is not subject to the provisions of the Condominium Act, and therefore not subject to the jurisdiction of the Division of Florida Condominiums, Timeshares, and Mobile Homes, I am hereby closing this case file. If you have any questions, this was signed by Carl M. Hecht, Investigation Specialist, Bureau of Compliance, Fort Lauderdale. So all of the things that the allegations that you just heard from Mr. Hadley, he's totally out of line. He was told back in 2012 that Cobrua does not have to give any information at this point. Now, as I said earlier, there were 4, if I forgot to mention Vesta as the 4th one, they were thrown out basically because their proposal was very vague, and the committee decided that we just didn't want them, which is a recommendation by the committee. The committee's recommendation to go forward with 3 of them were based on a unanimous vote by all 6 members of that committee to have this very important project move forward. And that's why there's nothing being held back from anyone. That's why I came up earlier to talk to you, to let you know that you have 3 different companies, one of which is actually sitting in the back of the room right now. That's First Service representatives. But there is nothing that we have been hiding from anyone. At this point, it is a Cobrua issue only, which is guided by 617. Yes, 617 rules, and therefore it's different than the 718 rules that Mr. Hadley keeps alluding to. Thank you very much.
I just want to briefly follow up on what Milt said. I acknowledge that letter. Wait, this is very simple. Charlie.
Hey, hold on.
Please. Very simple statement. I acknowledge the letter of 2012. I don't agree with it. Neither do the attorney. Here is the key point.
Fred.
Wait, just one sentence and I'm done. While that letter is accurate as he read it, it doesn't say, however, if they want to tell us what's going on, they may. And that's the point. While they don't have to tell us, they ought to tell us. So let's not follow the letter of the law. Let's do what's the right thing. You hear all of the questions on this floor about mistrust and lack of transparency. That's why they don't trust.
Just to clarify, there are no numbers to give out at this point, okay? When we have the numbers, the presidents will be getting these proposals. So there is nothing other than what I've told you. That is the status of this entire project as of right now.
Thank you. Let's move. Okay. Is there any other good and welfare?
Here I am.
Okay, somebody over there.
Right, okay, so I'm a resident from Yarmouth. 2 questions. One, are the delegates at all required to attend these meetings? Because I am a member of an association and I don't believe there's a single delegate or alternate here. Does that matter, or there's no? Is someone here from Yarmouth?
It matters quite a bit, and what you should really do is speak to the president of Yarmouth, because he could,
All right, so that's the first. Then
Yeah.
the second thing is on the management companies, very briefly. I'm glad to hear that Campbell was still in the mix, because I did get back to you, but that's the name of the company. And one thing that I noticed with Campbell is that everything is on Zoom. Everything. I'm just saying, it's a big help when you find out that you can watch the meetings, and it's very well done. And then they take questions from people on Zoom, so you don't have to, because the snowbirds might not be there at the time of the meeting. That's it.
Okay, thank you for your input. Any other?
Oh, I have one more thing. Okay. I can't remember what it was.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dean Taff from Cornwall. And my first question is, what is the contract period for each management service? What's the contract period for management services? Period. How long is the contract period?
The one that we're under
For
right
management
now.
service, yes. Okay.
What's the answer? I'm afraid to move it because it stopped working. I believe it was a 5-year contract, I wouldn't swear to that, but it ends October 30th, 2025.
Okay, so should I understand that the next contract, is it started already, or?
We're negotiating at this point in
A new
time
contract?
for the next contract.
Okay, very good.
That's what all this brouhaha is all about.
Okay, all right. I want to know if we have actually been through enough due diligence in actually determining the management service, or whether or not the criteria that we are using to judge each management service are actually the right criteria, considering that it is costly these days. It is costly these days to have these management services coming in. Now, I heard mentioned that a representative of First Service is here. Is that normal, or is it appropriate for when we are having such a discussion to have one of the management services being present?
A representative from our current management company is invited to the delegates meetings so they know what's going on. So it's not at all unusual for our current management company to be here.
Okay, because I was just wondering. All right, the other thing is that the budget, and this is the last thing, somebody held up a paper showing that that's where you can get the budgetary information from. How can I gain access to that paper?
It's in the Cobrua Reporter, which is delivered to your building every month. If you haven't seen a copy, you might speak to your building director or your president and get a copy. Or go to the Cobrua office and get a copy.
Okay, so I'm new to the area.
I gather.
Yes, where is the Cobrua office?
Good questions, but we can tell you're new.
Where's the Cobrua office?
You want to come up to me, come up after the meeting,
No
and
problem.
I'll talk to you, okay?
All right, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Oh, okay, thanks.
Elaine Harris, hi. Just to add, as a member of the search committee, working with Susan Meltzer, Dave Merzon, Stanley Siegel, who'd I leave out? Sid. To all of you, I really thought this was understood, but it may not be to all the people sitting here and to the delegates. The search committee is a purely advisory committee. It makes a recommendation. It does not decide which management company will be chosen. It's a preliminary function committee that Cobrua, Charlie, you appointed the people to the committee based on their own interest in being on it, or if you felt they brought something to the table. So all of us are either presidents or have served in other executive positions. When Milt told you about the meetings, we spent over 30 hours already between meeting with every company, meeting with each other, talking about what things we need to know. So when you ask about the criteria, yes, all these things are being addressed. We're talking about them. And we're doing it with enough time that when the contract comes up October 31 of 25, the presidents have the information that they need to make their decision. They will receive, I'm 99% sure, Milt, correct me, they will receive a recommendation from our committee. Nothing is being held back. As I believe Milt said, there are no numbers to share yet. We're simply talking to the companies, talking about the criteria, talking about what we want out of management. When we get hard information, at whichever point, it will go to the presidents. And again, Milt, correct me, then it's up to the presidents what they want to share with their association. And you can fight them if they don't want to give it to you, or you can trust your association, whatever you want. But it's not Cobrua's fault, and it's not the committee's fault. Nobody is holding anything back because there isn't anything to tell you yet. Anybody want to ask anything? Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Helene. Is that it? Okay, I want to adjourn the meeting. Any second? Okay. Have a good holiday.